Namo Vishnupadaya Vishnuprestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, entitled Lord Nrsingadev Slays the King of the Demons. Today we are reading from text 2. So I'll read the text a couple of times. Athacharya sutastesham buddhimekantasamstitam alakshya bhitastvarito ragya avedayadhyata. Athacharya sutastesham buddhimekantasamstitam alakshya bhitastvarito Ragya avedayat acharya sutta athacharya sutastesham buddhimekanta samstitam alakshya bhitasvarito ragya avedayat. The devotees can chant.
Atacharya sutastesham buddhim ekanta samstitam alakshya vitas tvarito ragya avedayat yata.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll read the word-for-word translation. Atha, thereupon, Acharya Sutha, the sons of Sukracharya, Tesham, of them, the sons of demons, Buddhim, the intelligence, Ekanta, Samsthitam, fixed in one subject matter, devotional service, Alakshya, realizing or seeing practically, Bhitaha, being afraid, Tvaritaha, as soon as possible, Ragye, unto the king Hiranyakashipu, Avedayat, submitted, Yatha, fittingly. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya, observed that all the students, the sons of the demons, were becoming advanced in Krishna consciousness because of the association of Prahlad Maharaj, they were afraid. They approached the king of the demons and described the situation as it was. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The words Buddhim Ekanta Samsthitam indicate that as an effect of Prahlad Maharaj's preaching, the students who listened to him became fixed in the conclusion that Krishna consciousness is the only object of human life. The fact is that anyone who associates with pure devotees and follows the instructions becomes fixed in Krishna consciousness and is not disturbed by materialistic consciousness. The teachers particularly observed this in their students, and therefore they were afraid because the whole community of students was gradually becoming Krishna conscious. I'll read the translation again. The translation, when Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya, observed that all the students and sons of the demons were becoming advanced in Krishna consciousness because of the association of Prahlad Maharaj, they were afraid. They approached the king of the demons and described the situation as it was. So, as we've been reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the story so far is that Prahlad Maharaj was asked by the students that from where did you hear all these things about devotion to Krishna and so on. So he instructed them that please don't waste your time in materialistic pursuits, become Krishna conscious. So they asked him, how did you hear all these topics? And he said, I heard from my spiritual master Narada Muni. And so the students were very intrigued and they said, where did you encounter Narada Muni? Because we don't really see such personalities. The only people that we know that instruct us are our teachers, Shanda and Amarka. We don't know any other teachers. So that's when Prahlad Maharaj describes how his mother was captured by the Devatas, and then Narada Muni came and protected his mother while she was pregnant. And in the ashram of Narada Muni, she heard a lot of different instructions, which Prahlad Maharaj in the womb of his mother captured in his heart, and he remembered them. And thus he became a fixed devotee of the Lord. So he explained all that. And he gave a very beautiful whole narration of how one can become Krishna conscious. So when the devotees and the students, classmates, Prahlad Maharaj was just 5 years old. And all his classmates who were also actually sons of demons, they didn't really have a pious background. They didn't really have a background of being born in the association of devotees. They were not born hearing kirtan all their life. So they were just regular kids, essentially sons of demons. But even in spite of their apparent lack of qualification or pre-qualification, when they heard from Prahlad Maharaj, they became influenced, attracted. Because end of the day, right, the living entity, whether it's a demonic living entity or a saintly living entity, Jivera Surupoi Nityara Krishna Das, right? Mamai Vancha Jiva Loke. So all the living entities, regardless of what your prior situation is or current situation is, ultimately you're all parts and parcel of, we're all parts and parcel of Krishna. It does not matter what our current situation is. We may have been covered for lifetimes in ignorance. We might have been completely away from Krishna consciousness for lifetimes, but whether that is true or not, regardless of that, our true connection is always with Krishna. However deeply covered it may be, however deeply forgotten it may be, but that is still our true identity, that we are servants of Krishna. So when they heard, the students, the friends of Prahlad Maharaj, they heard the teachings, the pure teachings from a pure devotee, their innate Krishna consciousness got awakened. And they became completely fixed. They were ready to do whatever Prahlad Maharaj told them. And that worried the teachers. They said, well, not only is Prahlad now a difficult student for us, but now the entire class is becoming Krishna conscious. So if Hiranyakashipu was angry at us for one student, his son becoming Krishna conscious, what would be the consequence of he hears that now the entire class of students is now becoming Krishna conscious? So that was their fear. So in this verse, it describes that they were afraid that the entire class was becoming Krishna conscious. So they were afraid because the whole community of students was gradually becoming Krishna conscious. So they went and submitted their concern to the king, Hiranyakashipu. So there are a few points that are actually very important to understand from this whole verse and this section, that the purity of Prahlad Maharaj and the association of devotees, that the association of one devotee, actually, not even many devotees, the one devotee that the classmates of Prahlad Maharaj got was sufficient to awaken their Krishna consciousness. And I'm going to cite a couple of this. Srimad Bhagavatam was full of narrations of how association of devotees actually liberates an individual. And I'll maybe chant a couple of verses that talk about this point. There are hundreds and thousands of verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, literally hundreds of verses. So I could literally quote. We could actually go and read from hundreds of verses that actually emphasize this point, but I'll just maybe pick a couple. And maybe a couple of personalities as well that I'll highlight. I mean, of course, Prahlad Maharaj, we've been speaking about Prahlad Maharaj for many, many weeks and months now, because this whole canto is glorification of Prahlad Maharaj. And I'd mentioned this earlier as well, that the story of Nrsingadev is not a new one. It's not the first time that it was spoken 5,000 years ago in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The ancient Puranas, including the Vishnu Puran and the Narsingha Puran, these are very ancient Puranas, and also in the Vedas, which are essentially timeless. The mention of Hiranyakashipu and Nrsingadev and the appearance of Nrsingadev is there. In fact, Vishnu Puran speaks about it quite elaborately and glorifies Nrsingadev, and so this is not just the first time that is mentioned in the Shastra. The Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken 5,000 years ago, so it's not the first time that the pastime of Hiranyakashipu being killed by Nrsingadev was mentioned. But the uniqueness of Srimad Bhagavatam is that the majority of the seventh canto is focused on glorifying Prahlad Maharaj. And the appearance of Nrsingadev and the glorification of Nrsingadev is just a couple of chapters in the whole canto. But the vast majority of the canto is focused on glorifying Prahlad Maharaj. And that is the beauty of how the narration of this pastime of Nrsingadev is different in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the emphasis is on the glory of Prahlad Maharaj. So this association of devotees is such a key point. And Srila Prabhupada will always quote this verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kohe, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoye. The Sadhu Sangha, the association of devotees, is emphasized. Sadhu Sangha twice. Sarva Shastra Kohe is mentioned in all Shastras as critically important. Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha. Lava is actually a measurement of time. And it is, I don't remember the exact technicality here, but it's like a sub-second. You can think about it as a microsecond or a millisecond. A very small period of time. You cannot even actually count it. It's a very, very small period of time. So lava, a nimesha is the amount of time it takes for your eyelid to close once. So if you just close your eyelid once, how long does it take? It's a small portion of a second. That's a nimesha. But as a lava is even smaller than that. So it's a very, very small period of time. So the Shastra says, lava matra sadhu sangha. Even if you have a extremely brief amount of association of a saintly person, lava matra sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy, can give you the highest of perfection. So this association of devotees is such a key aspect that's emphasized in our Shastra. And this is what was the glory of Prahlad Maharaj, that just because of his purity, he was able to change the attraction that the boys had towards all sorts of materialistic things, to change their attraction to Krishna. And that is the power of association. So in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 9th chapter, I was thinking about this whole pastime of when Dhritarashtra quits home. That's a very beautiful chapter. Now, all of us know the position of Dhritarashtra. He was the father of Duryodhana, extremely attached to his sons, and literally caused all the chaos and all the misery that the Pandavas experienced. I mean, even if people have some limited understanding of the Mahabharata, at least they know this much, that Dhritarashtra was not some sort of great personality. He was very attached to his sons and created a lot of panic and havoc and caused the war, basically, because of his attachment to his son. And he was urged by so many that just forsake your son. And that's going to be for the betterment of the Kuru dynasty. But he was not able to do that. Now, so despite all the bad qualities that the Dhritarashtra had, the Dhritarashtra had one good quality. And that one good quality of the Dhritarashtra was that he had great affection for his younger brother Vidura. So the Dhritarashtra was always very affectionate towards his brother. He had great love and affection for his brother. So because of that, even after Vidura left the kingdom and everything else, during the battle he traveled and he met Maitreya Muni. Essentially all of the third canto, fourth canto, Srimad Bhagavatam is the narrations of the meeting between Vidura and Maitreya Muni. The whole of the third canto, fourth canto practically. So this Vidura, after he heard from Maitreya Muni, he traveled all the holy places, and he understood that the battle of Kurukshetra was completed, and Krishna had also gone back to his original abode. He came back, and this is mentioned in the ninth chapter of the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, that Vidura came back. And why did he come back? He did not come back so that he could enjoy the palace for another few days or another few weeks. He did not come back for anything else. The only reason he came back was because his brother, the Dhritarashtra, was still living in the palace. And he extols his brother, saying, "Why are you still living here? At the cost of your whatever little dignity you have left, you're still living here. The very persons you tried to kill, like Bhima and others, you're living at their mercy." Bhima throws some. I mean, of course, the Pandavas were not neglectful of the Dhritarashtra, but still, given that the Dhritarashtra had essentially plotted with his son to kill the Pandavas, he was living at their mercy now. And he says, "You were blind since birth, but now you're also spiritually blind. You're not even awake to your ultimate well-being. All you're doing is living here in your old age. So you should get out of here, leave this place." And at the extolling of Vidura is when Dhritarashtra quits home, and then he quits his life for focusing on the spiritual purpose of life, focusing on Krishna. So just because of the association of one devotee, even a person who really didn't have too many good qualities, like the Dhritarashtra, was able to fulfill the purpose of his life to at least some extent because of association of one devotee. And I said I would at least give you a couple of verses you can think about. This very beautiful verse comes in the third canto, chapter 25, verse 25 of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a very famous verse. Srila Prabhupada quotes it very, very often in his purports. And this is a verse spoken by Kapila to his mother Devabhuti on how one can practice spiritual life. And this verse I'll just chant. And this verse is very famous. Satam prasanga mama virya samvido bhavanti hit karna rasayana katha tat doshanat shvapavarga vartmani shraddha ratim bhaktir anukramishyati. So the translation is, in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begins. So in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the activities and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and heart. So only by cultivating such knowledge, one becomes gradually advanced, and thereafter he is freed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Only then does bhakti begin. So Srila Prabhupada says in that purport that the process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. So the emphasis of sadhu sangha is is critical. It's absolutely critical. One of the words I'd just like to quote is uh, in the Rudra Gita. This comes in the fourth canto, chapter 24. Uh, song sung by Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva says to the Prachetas, he says, Shanardhena pitulaye na swargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kimuta shishaha. The translation is, if one by chance associates with the devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to the attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest can he have in the benedictions of the demigods who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Lord Shiva is saying, if one by chance associates with the devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to the attraction of the results of karma and jnana. What interest then can he have in the benedictions of the demigods who are subject to the laws of birth and death? So, of course, there are hundreds of such verses, but these two verses, the Satam Prasanga Mama Vira Samvita, that verse is a very, very beautiful verse. That really emphasizes the point, that association of pure devotees. Satam Prasangat. So, when you think about this particular verse, chapter 8, verse 2, the key point that I could gather from this whole pastime is that just by the spotless character and personality of Prahlad Maharaj, and simply he didn't force anybody, he just spoke about Krishna consciousness. He just spoke from his heart. And that completely transformed the personality of the boys who were in the class. And so the point that we gather from this is that you can only give what you have. So if we have any desire to share Krishna consciousness with others, then we have to become Krishna conscious ourselves. We have to have love and compassion and gratitude in our heart. Only then can we share Krishna consciousness. So if we don't feel those things in our heart, if we feel bitter and somehow kind of fried out, then what kind of Krishna consciousness will we share? So we have to feel that bliss in our life. We have to feel the appreciation of devotees in our life. Because sometimes in the association of devotees, we sometimes focus on things that are not so pleasant. And of course, in any association, you're going to have some ups and downs. But would you rather have devotee association or non-devotee association? Because the modes of nature act in every scenario. Whether you associate with devotees or non-devotees, you're still going to have some positive interaction, some negative, and especially sadhakas. We're all sadhakas. I mean, speaking about myself, we're all sadhakas. We're not perfected devotees. We're still practicing. We're still in the path of practicing sadhakas. So we still have contamination. We still have material contamination. We still are influenced by the modes of nature. We are not pure devotees. So there is going to be some situations where the interactions may not be at the highest level of what one would expect Vaishnava association. But when you compare that with associating with non-devotees who have absolutely no interest in Krishna consciousness, you're going to have the same thing anyway, where they're still also going to be influenced by the modes of nature. So the point is that can we overlook some of these apparent faults or apparent kind of ups and downs when we associate with devotees, because the power of association of devotees and the ability to hear and chant the holy name of the Lord far, far outpaces any drawback or any other kind of complaint one may have in the association of devotees. There's absolutely no doubt about this, right? Because unless we're all in the spiritual world, we're all going to have some sort of ups and downs, some sort of drawback, some sort of things that may not be as perfect as one might expect in a spiritual world. That's a given. But would you rather have that association of devotees, although it may be imperfect, or associate with materialistic persons who have absolutely no interest in Krishna consciousness. And you're going to find those same drawbacks and issues anyway. Right? Those things are going to be there anyway. So our ability to practice Krishna consciousness should take into consideration that without the association of devotees, it is impossible to practice Krishna consciousness. Virtually impossible. And Srila Prabhupada actually says that in the purport to the 325.25, that he clearly spells it out. He says that without such association, one cannot make advancement. Srila Prabhupada does not say that without the association of devotees, it may be difficult to make advancement or it might be slightly hard. He doesn't say that. Srila Prabhupada very clearly says one cannot make advancement categorically. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. He's very categorical about this point. Srila Prabhupada is not saying that it may be hard to make progress simply by self-study and trying to do sadhana. And reason I'm emphasizing this point is sometimes in the association of devotees, sometimes we feel, oh, it's better to just do my own thing. But Srila Prabhupada is very clear on this point. Very, very clear. And not only in this purport or a few other purports, but across his talks, across his morning walks, across his lectures, across his purports, very, very clear. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kohe. So the key point that we understand from Srila Prahlad Maharaj is that because of his purity, he was able to affect the hearts of others. So if we have any desire, so ours is a preaching movement, right? So if you have any desire to affect others' lives and make them Krishna conscious, we have to first focus on becoming Krishna conscious ourselves, becoming purer, becoming compassionate, developing gratitude in our heart. We were given Krishna consciousness by somebody, and we got association with devotees, our spiritual master. So we develop gratitude in our heart for that. We develop gratitude in our heart that we're able to chant the holy name every day. It's such a great blessing. Every day in the morning, we're able to see the darshan of the deities of the Lord. Those of you who live in the Dham, they're a million times more fortunate. Every morning you can see, and as often as you like, you can get darshan of Radha Damodar. Some of us have to travel and see Radha Damodar once a week or maybe a couple times a week, but some of you who live there can see Radha Damodar pretty much whenever you want. All of us have the good fortune of hearing and chanting the holy name every day, reading from Srila Prabhupada's book. So these are all great benedictions that we have. And of course, the Sadhu Sangha, the association of devotees, the senior devotees who nurture us, the devotees at our level who we develop deep friendships with, and devotees who are younger than us that we can inspire and help. So all these types of relationships are critical in the development of our Krishna consciousness. Right. So there are some points, right? So I'll just maybe end with one thought that my spiritual master always speaks about. Of course, this point itself I can elaborate quite a bit, but I'll just kind of touch on it. That there are three things that are required for our spiritual life. Three-legged stool. One is sadhu sangha, uh, which is association of devotees that we spoke about for a few minutes this morning. And sadhu sangha, along with sadhu sangha comes seva or service to devotees, because unless you associate, you cannot serve. So kind of related, sadhu sangha and seva. The second leg of the stool is sadhana, or our spiritual practice, our chanting of the holy name, sincerely trying to chant the holy name and reading Srila Prabhupada's books, etc., are part of sadhana. And the third leg of the stool is sadachar, or proper behavior. So it's not like one is more important than the other. They're all equally important. They're all equally interrelated. So unless you have sadhu sangha or association of devotees, you cannot continue to have determination in your sadhana. Your determination to continue to chant holy name sincerely will waver if you don't have association of devotees. your determination to read Srila Prabhupada's books and follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada will waver if you don't have association of devotees. And then sadachar, good behavior. If you don't have proper behavior, then your ability to associate with sadhus will waver. Because if your behavior is not proper, then sadhus will not want to associate with you, which will then impact your sadhana. And of course, if you don't have proper behavior, your ability to perform sadhana gets impacted. So all three things are interrelated and they are integral to our Krishna consciousness. So the emphasis here is on sadhu sangha and how Srila Prahlad Maharaj, by his personal example and his personal purity, just influenced the lives of these small children who previously didn't have any qualification of devotional service. It's not like they were devotee children and they were chanting holy name from childhood, nothing like that. They were just demons. And simply by the association of Prahlad Maharaj, they were able to be so fixed in Krishna consciousness that the teacher, Shanda and Amarka, were worried that the entire class is going to be devotees. So those are some points on this specific verse, 8.2. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Any questions, comments, or any other points anybody would like to bring up?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I want to thank you for a very nice class. It's wonderful to hear about the value of the association of devotees. You quoted all the key verses for understanding that value. Even a moment's association. Alava Srila Prabhupada explains is defined as 1/11th part of a second. So it's just a moment, a very brief moment. One thought I have regarding the association of devotees, I took a look at a bunch of the various verses that talk about the extraordinary value of the association of devotees. And I discovered that in quite nearly every instance, the verses are specific about the association of advanced devotees, in particular, having the quality of being able to infuse one with Krishna consciousness, even by brief association. Usually, in the translation, Srila Prabhupada will say specifically advanced devotees, and you find sometimes also in the synonyms, he will specifically say advanced devotees. Sadhu Sangha, for example, he translates as association with advanced devotees. In nearly every instance, I find the same thing. He'll mention pure devotees or advanced devotees specifically, not just any Vaishnava, but those who are particularly advanced. And our practical experience will support this. We don't find that that there is necessarily immense benefit from associating with just any devotee. In the course of our day, we may associate with many devotees. Some may be um, madhyamas, some may be kanishtas, and um, we don't find the kind of extraordinary result that is described by some of these verses by just a moment's association, more valuable than anything else. Um, um, uh, that association, it can't be compared even with the value of attaining the heavenly planets or liberation from matter, and so on. These verses talk about it, an extraordinary value. Well, that value is what one experiences by even brief association with a very advanced devotee. Um, so I just thought I would offer that point of clarification. Sometimes devotees will misconstrue the meaning of these sorts of verses, um, assuming that it's referring to just the ordinary sort of socialization that we may experience day to day in associating with ordinary devotees who may be more advanced than us or less advanced than us. Um, some may be just beginning to take to the path of bhakti, and some may be well along that path. Um, the benefit of the association of devotees is not the same in all circumstances. It is relative to the advancement of the devotee with whom one associates. Um, um, for those who are less advanced, the advice is to give them your association rather than taking their association necessarily. Um, but one should actively seek out the association of advanced devotees and render service to them in order to derive the greatest benefit. Um, I thought there was one more point I wanted to make. Can't recall what it is now. Um, anyway, I just thought I would offer that clarification that it's very important to endeavor to get the association of advanced devotees. And there are we're blessed to have many advanced devotees in the world at this time. Um, Maybe we can't see them personally face to face, but we can find recordings of them, their writings. Um, but particularly these days, it's commonplace for one to have easy access through videos and so on. So there's lots of ways to get the association of very advanced devotees. They make themselves available very freely, very liberally, and uh, technology offers us all kinds of advantages, different ways that we can take advantage the opportunity for association with such individuals and and derive that sort of extraordinary benefit. And as you say, it is so important. In the absence of that, um, practically you cannot make any advancement. That association is critical. It's extremely important. But the benefit that one derives is not the same for every devotee. We particularly want to seek out the association of the most advanced devotees. So it's not hard. We have to make a little effort, but but there's lots of opportunities to take advantage of. We're really blessed in this age. All over the movement, all over the world, there are many wonderful devotees. So there's lots of opportunities. At least there's our spiritual master, who is surely a great soul. So that's what I had to offer. Thank you again, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Dr. Ru. Yeah, thank you for your words of wisdom. So what we hear from Shastra is basically three levels of association of devotees are critical in our life. Right. So one is association with advanced devotees, where we take instruction from them, or even the Lavamatra, get a little bit of instruction or association with them that greatly benefits your life. Then there's association of devotees at our level, the same level as us. And that's where Rupa Goswami speaks about Dadati Pranigranati Kohimakyati Prachati Bhungte Bhojete Chaiva Shadvi Priti Lakshanam. So the whole six exchanges, loving exchanges, typically will happen mostly at devotees at the same level. Right? So you're not going to confidentially inquire from a very advanced devotee. They're not going to share their heart with you, right? So that's not the appropriate etiquette. Um, you're not going to speak to a very advanced devotee about some challenges they may be facing. That's really not the etiquette. But you need somebody at your level that you can discuss challenges that you're facing in your bhakti, and especially in our movement, it's become customary to think that, hey, if you're facing challenges in bhakti, something might be wrong with you, right? But that's not accurate, right? Because everybody faces challenges in bhakti. If you're not feeling ecstasy when you chant holy name, something's wrong with you. That's not the right way to think. Right? We're all sadhakas, we're all struggling. So speaking with other aspiring devotees or people who are sadhakas who are having similar challenges and how they're overcoming it helps our bhakti. And that kind of association is also very important. And then you also have to have association of devotees who you're preaching to, that you can then cultivate them. That's also important as you nurture the next generation. So all three associations have specific value. The association of senior devotees, the pure devotees, nourishes you. The association of devotees at your level gives you the spiritual and devotional friendship that we need to remain in Krishna consciousness. And then an association of devotees who are to gives us the ability to nurture the next generation. So that's what I would offer on this point. Any other questions or comments anybody has before we wrap?
Prabhu, the other comment that I wanted to make is that there is benefit to be had even by association with less advanced devotees or devotees of equal advancement. And that benefit is that by associating with devotees in general, that association serves to bolster one's faith in Krishna consciousness. In the words of the acharyas in the Shastra, it reinforces our faith. Um, in the case of less advanced devotees, if we give them our association by offering some words of Krishna Katha, that reinforces our own Krishna consciousness. And the same is true when we associate with devotees of equal advancement. That also reinforces our Krishna consciousness. But as I say, the greatest benefit comes from the association of more advanced devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.